Well, hello, my abundant healers. So I just wanted to pop in here because, as a reminder, we are in our 90-day launch cycle and promotion for the Abundant Healer 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online, which is a one-stop shop and program that helps you call in more clients, cash flow, and freedom that you want in your practice, all without having to piecemeal a bunch of different programs together and or spend a ton of money on experts and gurus. And so I am popping on in here today because I wanted to, first off, welcome some of our newest group members. So we have Sherry, we have Bradley, we have Sumaya, we have Lauren, Tranum, Is Garcia, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, Brenda, Sonja, and we have Tammy, and we have Catherine. Welcome to the group. And I also just wanted to touch upon some of the questions that popped up, or some of the answers to the questions that popped up when joining the group. And it seems like a lot of the things that are coming up are that I love my work and I love my clients and I've had some success, but I'm still struggling financially. Or feeling frustrated that the pay doesn't reflect the work. And also clients may come to you, this was a great expression here from Trenum, as a tick box exercise. That's very interesting. Also wanting to know how to start a business, knowing more about the business side, how to feel more respected in your field, how to feel more sure about how to get yourself out there, leaning into and trusting your gifts. Ooh, that's a really big one. Finding more clients, also making a career, switching from corporate world and landing safely on the other side. So that these are some wonderful things coming up, and it feels like a lot of them are maybe a blend of mindset stuff as well as understanding the foundations of where it is that you are coming from. So I think that what we're doing right now in the group is actually perfect for where most of these questions are coming from, which is to start with your brand messaging. Now, people think of branding as being like colors and font styles, and that's something that is big and glossy, and that's something that happens when you're already arrived and maybe you've got a product to sell or something like that. And I just kind of want to dispel that myth right now. Branding is not about that. It is about that, but that's just a part of it. Branding is about your message, like what it is that you contribute to the field and how it is that you stand out in your niche. So just to give you kind of an example, think about the reach that Apple Computers has, for example, as compared to like IBM or PC computers. There's a whole cult, there's a whole global cult that has been created around Apple computers. And that is because Steve Jobs had a vision of what it meant, of how it would serve creatives, of the user experience. There's a mission around it. It's supposed to create a lived experience for you. Whereas like IBM and PC computers and things like that, they're more focused on using the computer as a tool. So they're selling a tool, whereas Apple Computers is selling kind of an identity. They're selling a mission. There's a philosophy behind it. So when you think about how you are presenting yourself in your niche and online and to the clients that you want to work with, that becomes a composite of how you talk about yourself. So that speaks to marketing copy. It becomes a composite of how well you are speaking to the struggles, benefits, and also obstacles of your clients. Also how well you are speaking their language. A lot of times we think we know what it is that our clients want and how they talk, but clients don't respond to what you think about them or what you learned about them in school. They respond to how you make them feel. They respond to how well they feel like you empathize with their experience. And so if you're here, you're probably interested in creating what I'm going to call a personal brand. And that means that a lot of what you are wanting to do, what you are wanting to express with your mission, extends from that empathic experience. Most of us who get into helping and healing professions, whether you're a therapist, coach, or healer, that motivation stems from an experience that you had, and whatever the method by which you are facilitating being of service to the clients that you want to serve is typically a method that served you in some way. And so you come from it from a place of deep trust and abiding faith that the thing that I have to offer is of value. Now, that comes into conflict often with other beliefs that we have, and usually it's tied up in money. So when people really struggle with money, it's usually one of 4 areas, and that could be getting out of debt, not knowing how to save, not knowing how to meet your expenses, or not knowing how to invest or where and when to contribute, because generativity is also is a money vibration. I think of money as an expression of value, okay? And so to hone in on how you are, I'm going to call vibrating in each of these areas, but how your subconscious beliefs are holding on to each of these aspects of experience, it's really important to realize that money is just a physical manifestation of energy and value. This is one of my brand values and beliefs, okay? And I'm sharing with you now the basis of some of my brand messaging. And that is that I believe money is a renewable resource, that it ebbs and it flows. You can breathe money in, and you can breathe it out, and you can try and hold your breath. That's not going to do you very good. But if you're always breathing out, nothing's ever coming in. And so money is like that. It likes to move. It likes to circulate in a sense that it's kind of like manure. So if you let that pile up in one place, it starts to stink. But if you spread that shit around, suddenly things start to grow, right? And then that's when we have to tap into our inner being and our sense of insight, and following that intuition in business that will lead you to those concrete apparatuses that are going to show and encourage the money to flow in the direction and through the channels that you want it to flow. Sometimes there will be people who want to give you money and they just don't know how, because you haven't put the correct, I'm going to call them funnels, but you haven't put the correct systems in place so that it can come to you. Okay, so I feel like a lot of times this happens at conferences. You know, you'll go to a presentation or a conference, and you'll be asked to run a workshop, and at the end of the workshop, people are like, "Oh, do you have another workshop coming up, or do you have something in which I can interact with and get more of you?" And sometimes people don't, and they didn't even come with a sign-up list, and they're like, "No, but you can look at my website." No one follows up on that. So it's like, that's just a minor example, but when you show up somewhere, you want to make sure that you have like a sign-in sheet. Even if the place that's hosting you is like, yeah, we'll have a sign-up sheet, bring your own. You want to make sure you have a lead magnet. So that's some kind of like little freebie or something that someone can consume once they've been in touch with you. And that, so that at the end of that workshop and you're approached by all these people that want to work with you, like the universe trying to give you all these abundances, you've got the systems and apparatuses in place to say, yes, put your name and your email right here. I'm going to send you this free downloadable cheat sheet on these 5 things that you can do to start working on that today. And then I'm going to put you in my calendar and I will follow up with you for a free 30-minute consultation, and we'll talk about what the next steps might be and how we might continue to work together. But you got to have that system in place. And that's what we're talking about this month, about brand messaging, okay? Knowing how are you going to show up to that conversation, knowing what the systems are that are going to allow your business to really open up and allow you to be flowing through that system, that apparatus that you've constructed in the very real physical world of form, okay? So I'm also I consider myself to be sort of a spiritual wealth kind of business coach, which means that I'm big on the law of attraction. And that means that focusing on the feeling of not having enough money tends to introduce a resistance to receiving it. And so it kind of slows down the manifestation process. And so it creates what we call contrast. So one way to create what I call a contrast-free statement is to use certain qualifying words. So here's an example of that. Whenever you find yourself starting to tell a sad sob story about money, and I'm not saying that there aren't real circumstances where you're struggling with money, but the issue is that instead of being focused on the struggle that you're having, let's try to focus and put energy and momentum around a positive attitude so that you can receive the inspirations that are going to turn you in that direction. Okay, so here's an example. I love knowing that it's possible for me to be successful online doing what makes me feel purposeful. I love knowing how it feels when I make a bank deposit, no matter how much it is, If you're making a bank deposit, that's a nice feeling, right? That's something coming to you, and it's important to notice that. I am excited by the thought of traveling to new and different places. So this would be a level of motivation and excitement that might start to inspire you in a certain direction, right? I love the idea of having a full and diversified practice. Now, we're not beating yourself up for not being there yet, but you're loving the idea. The idea is a great idea. You probably don't have a lot of conflict around that being a bad thing. Full and diversified practice, who wouldn't love that? Love that for yourself. I love imagining myself making wise decisions with my investments, okay? Rather than beating yourself up, I'm a flaky creative type, I don't know how to handle my money, this and that. It doesn't mean you have to become an accountant, but you can follow certain action steps and signs from the universe that I believe once you start focusing on that statement, like imagining myself making wise decisions with my investments, sometimes that involves finding someone who is a good money person, and you making the decision to delegate that to someone who is a good money person. And in doing that, you're making a good money decision for yourself, right? So we tend to take a lot on ourselves, but sometimes if you can just hold sort of your energy and your momentum and your focus on a place that feels good about whatever it is that's creating some contrast for you, then you start to sort of open up to receiving these signs that I believe are always all around you, and I get them all the time. So I share these phrases with you because they really allow you to speak to and attend to your desires in a more positive and non-contradictory way. So with listening to them, you notice there's nothing that I've said is untrue or that could really be contradicted in your reality unless you start to switch to, yeah, but I don't have it. And that's where you have to become conscious of that yeah, but, right? Be aware of your yeah, but, because your yeah, but is coming from a place that's trying to keep you safe. Because it thinks if you take that leap, you may not land safely on the other side. And I stole that quote from one of our new group members here, Sonia. And so there's a piece of us, well, I would love to step into that, but it's not safe. So yeah, I think I could do that, but I can't predict, therefore I can't take the leap, right? So that's our yeah buts, and we got to deal with our yeah buts. So that's kind of where we start to use these ideal words. Or these qualitative words like ideal, right? I love thinking about my ideal thing. I love the concept of, I love the feeling of, because those are going to prevent you from adding a level of resistance and contrast into your statements. So sometimes, for example, people will, like, if we're going to talk about spiritual wealth approaches, some people will use affirmations to try to change the way they feel about something. So they might say something like, I am abundant, I am wealthy, I am a money magnet, right? And those are great, but it depends on if that is facilitating a certain vibration within you around it. If you say things like, I am abundant, because you're trying to attract more money into your practice, but there's a little voice in the back of your head that says, yeah, but there's not enough money in the bank, then what's happened is you've created a dissonance and a resistance within you. Okay, so that's why I wanted to share with you on this little video ways that you can start to create affirmative statements that open up the possibilities for you in the realms of getting out of debt, or not knowing how to save, or not knowing how to meet your expenses, or not knowing how to invest and when or where to contribute. Start to try to create words and phrases for yourself that allow you to use qualifying words that reduce some of the resistance and the contrast in the way that you are vibrationally responding to them, the way you're really feeling, okay? And then start to practice them. So imagine saying, I love how it feels when, and think about a facet of your practice or of money-making practices that do appeal to you, something that really lights you on fire, something you really love about what you do in your practice, and focus on that, and just allow it to be the only thing you're focusing on, and allow some momentum to be generated around it, and then be kind of like an investigator and look around in your experience, like, just for, if you don't believe this, just like adopt a willing suspension of disbelief. And for 2 weeks, just be an investigator and act as if the universe is trying to send you secret messages and codes, and look around for them, because I guarantee you will find them, right? Because that's going to help you deal with those treacherous, not having yeah, but attitudes, okay? And I know it's hard because that's what we feel and experience in the concrete reality. But when you're trying to make a change, or you're trying to transform, or you're trying to shift something in a current circumstance, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you look beyond the certain circumstance, if you look beyond what is right in front of your face, because you're not liking the thing that's right in front of your face. So if you're looking for something different, then you have to start shifting yourself into that different way of being, okay? So I would love it if you would like to give it a try and put in the comments below this video a good feeling statement that you can make about money, or that you can make about the expansion of your practice that is true and doesn't offer a contradictory vibration or resistance. And if you'd like me to comment on it, you can tag me at Brianna McWilliam. I would love to see them.